Our final coach today will be Auburn's Bryan Harsin. The Tigers will travel to Arkansas on Saturday at 11 o'clock Central on CBS. To ask a question for Coach, please press 10 on your telephone's keypad now. And Coach, while we wait on any questions, if you could take a moment to comment on your team as they head to Arkansas on Saturday.
Yeah, well, good afternoon. So far as the team goes, a couple practices in. I think the guys have had a good couple days, and certainly Arkansas has their attention. They're very good. The more you watch them, the more you see why they've had success. So, really just focused on the things we have to do to be better here at Auburn and things from the games we played that we need to correct and continue to keep working on. And this week is no different, and also preparing for our opponent and then getting ready for another early morning game. But overall, the attitude's been good. The guys are excited about having a chance to travel and playing against a really good football team. So we're all looking forward to that. So with that, questions?
We'll begin with Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Number 5 for Arkansas, Rocket Sanders, their freshman running back. He's having a pretty good season. Had about 140 yards at Ole Miss last week. Wondering what your thoughts are on him.
Well, I think one thing, just overall, the offense, they're explosive. They play fast. I think that's just he and what they do at that position is just another weapon that they have in the way that they operate. So just run game, out of the backfield, all those type of things. We got to be prepared for that. And really good young player. But you have other issues at the positions that we have to cover and be ready for, if the quarterback pulls it down for him to run. And so, that's just one of many things that the defense has to prepare for with this offense and the players they have. So, but I've been impressed overall just watching them. And, I think they play hard. I've said that. Yeah, I think they play with really good tempo. And their guys are making plays. So, that's the real focus for us right now is being in a position where we can make plays, be in a position where we can make tackles, and then making sure that, every one of those guys that has an opportunity to touch the ball, that we're obviously ready for that and in position to try to defend it.
And then, every team had to get used to playing in front of big crowds on the road this season. You guys haven't played at Penn State and played at LSU at night. How do you think that's prepared you for this road game at Arkansas?
Well, I think being on the road in general prepares you to go back on the road. The Penn State game was the first road game we had as a team, not to mention the environment. That's part of it. We're going to play in those kind of environments every single week. Whether we're at home or away, and obviously away, you deal with the crowd noise, you deal with the travel. So to me, it's more about how we travel and how we have ourselves really leading up to that travel date prepared, how we handle ourselves while we're in a different environment, different bed, those type of things. And then come game day, we got to be able to handle the noise and the environment every time we go on the road. So I do think those two games, they've helped us in regards to we've had a chance to see how our guys respond on the road. One game we lost, one game we won. But overall, as far as just our team being able to handle the travel and some of the things that come with that, that's the big part. And then once we start playing, it's not much different. It's about doing your job and making sure that you're prepared to play.
Thanks.
Next is Nathan King of 24/7 Sports.
Landon King stood out on the scout team and gave himself an opportunity to play against Georgia. Just what in particular impressed you about him last week, and do you think he'll have a chance to help you guys on Saturday?
Yeah, I hope so. He's still working himself into the mix. He's learning. He's a young player. But the thing that stood out He made plays on the scout team, which really, what does that look like? It's a guy going hard every day. It's a guy, you're looking at cards and doing different things, but it's a guy going hard, making plays that he's able to make, having, some fun out there too, like being, in a position just to get out there and play. And so you see those things, and every day for us, I mean, we're still competing. We're looking for guys to help us to be successful every Saturday we play. So, and the one thing I hope our guys understand here is if you continue to keep showing up, at some point you're going to get recognized and you're going to get an opportunity, which is what everybody, wants on a football team. You want to just have a chance to be a part of it, and you want to know that your hard work does not go unnoticed. So I think that was a direct correlation to those things that we saw from Landon. Now he's got to continue to keep learning what we're doing, but it was good to see him out there and get a chance to contribute. He can catch. He's able to run well. He runs well, and he's able to get himself open. So he's got those abilities, and I think he's got a good vibe about him too, where he wants to get out there and compete, which is important. We need guys on this team that want to do that, want to do it on a daily basis, not just on game day. And he's shown that so far, and so we'll see what that looks like going into this game.
Next is Jordan Hill of Opelika Auburn News.
Hey, Bryan, I want to ask you about Chandler. He's leading the team in tackles right now. Just what have you seen from him stepping up with Owen out these last few games?
Well, yeah, I'm a big Chandler fan, and Owen, obviously a very good player, and Chandler's been able to come in. You're right, he stepped up. He's filled that role, which is what good players do. Chandler's a captain for us. He acts like a captain, and he does things that you want from leaders on your team. He's obviously playing well, so that helps. But he's one of those guys that just really gets it each and every day. He has that mentality that you want in your players, and I think that shows up, like you mentioned. So to me, like, I get to see all the other things. He's obviously, a leader on this team, but to me, he's one of those guys that you want to have, and you want more guys like him with that kind of attitude and mentality and work ethic and focus and drive and all those things that really make someone successful. I feel like he's got him. And he's a guy that he listens to. Like, that's the thing about it. He's one of those guys, and he's coachable. He enjoys the feedback. So that's a huge part of why he's succeeding. I think one of the reasons why, we've had some success on the defensive side, and especially within that room. He and Zacoby being on the field, and Zacoby's a great player. And a lot of the same things with Zacoby with his focus. Owen, we want to get back. Hopefully we do, and get him back on the field because he's a difference maker as well. But all three of those guys, and Chandler in particular, they got the mentality that you want, not just at linebacker, excuse me, not just at linebacker defense, but on this whole football team. And we need that to rub off on more guys in this program so we can have more consistency at every position. And he's trying, and those guys are leading, and I think more guys are now figuring that out of what it's supposed to look like, and hopefully that continues for he and the rest of the guys on that side of the ball.
Thanks.
Next is Tom Green of AL.com.
Hey, Bryan. I believe this weekend will be your first time coaching a game in Arkansas since your year at Arkansas State. Just looking back as a first-year head coach there, what did you learn from that season, and how have you kind of applied any of those lessons throughout the years as you've been a head coach?
You said the first time coaching in Arkansas since Arkansas State. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. You got to go back here. Was it 2001 maybe? I think Boise State had played at Arkansas that year. So, and then a little bit of history too with Houston Nutt Houston Nutt came from Murray State, came to Boise State when I was a player, and I happened to be, because I was a local player and everybody was gone, I happened to actually sit in on the interviews of the head coaches, and he was one of them. And another buddy of mine, Jim Brecky, who played there, we were the two that got to sit on the interviews of all the coaches. And we chose Houston Nutt. Not that we thought our opinion had anything to do with it, but and so when he left, obviously Arkansas, we followed that program as well because he had been there as a coach, and then Boise State was there. So, but as far as Arkansas State, one when Bielema was there, we actually had where I had lived in Jonesboro, there was one of the donors for Arkansas was just 2 houses down, but also was a guy that was trying to get involved at Arkansas State. And we had actually gotten together one evening. Bielema had been down there maybe doing some things for some donors and different things like that. But I got a chance to get with him and have known him for a while. And then obviously down there in Fayetteville, just some recruiting and different things like that of being in Arkansas. So, but that first year as a head coach, there's a lot of things you think you're prepared for that you're not. And the X's and O's part of it, there's a plan, there's a process, those type of things, but there's a lot more that comes with the head coach position that's not always just football driven, that you also have to be very aware of, and you want to do a very good job in those other areas. And then, making sure that everybody on your staff has the ability to come in there and do their very best work. So you're trying to hopefully create an environment like that. And that in itself is a challenge with players, coaches, just different personnel that you have. So I learned a lot that year. I sat in my office probably for 2-3 days once the last staff had left, the bowl game was over, looking at to hire staff and bringing people in and just thinking through a lot of stuff that you wouldn't really think about unless you're in that position. So that was a great year. Had a great AD in Terry Mahajer during that time. Staff we put together. There's some really good coaches on that staff, and that was a good opportunity to be on a really good football team and to be in a place where you could develop players and in an environment where it allowed the staff and I to grow and develop ourselves as coaches. So that was a great experience. My family and I enjoyed it. We enjoyed living there, and part of that was the excitement about the Auburn opportunity as well, just kind of coming back this direction. So a lot of good things from that time at Arkansas State.
Let's say Mark Murphy from inside the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, Coach, could you talk about the potential for this team to really help itself by boosting its turnover margin? You haven't had a lot of turnovers on offense, but you haven't created a lot on defense.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the key. I think you can change a season, good and bad, with the turnovers that you either have or ones that you create and the takeaways. Most of the better teams, if not all, usually you go back and look at the end of the year, they're going to be plus. That's for sure. But then just by how many, what's the difference? Some years, defenses are getting 30 plus takeaways. Your offense is under 20 in turnovers. And that's in a 14, 15 game season. You're having a pretty good year, but that number in itself, every single week and every game, it's like any other sport. When there's turnovers, that creates opportunities for your opponent. When there's takeaways, it creates opportunities for you. So, those are things that are huge in games, and they change them when you're able to do that. So, you're asking if that would help us. Well, we got to continue to really be mindful of taking care of the football, and then we got to find ways when the ball is on the ground or the ball is in the air and we have a chance to get it. We need to be able to make those plays. We need to be able to come down with the ball or to fall on the ball and recover the fumble and have a chance to possess it. And that's a focus. You know, it's not a lack of focus. I think right now it's just we've got to do a better job. We're aware of it. Now we have to make it happen. Now we've got to be able to get on that. And I think it has to do on defensively. It has to do with, you know, having guys rally to the football and being around the ball. So that comes back to our hustle in those areas. And then opportunities on special teams. You know, there's always chances there. You got to just stay on point. And then the offensive side taking care of the football. So, you know, when that number swings in your favor and you're in the plus category, you know, at the end of the game, it's a lot of times you've had a successful game. You won the game when the turnover margin is in your favor.